The difference in the treatment of these two individual groups, the January 6th defendants and the June 16th defendants, are politics. The difference in the politics of the people being charged and the politics of the person doing the charging. And that brings us to the U.S. Attorney for the District of Columbia. You can see his picture on the screen right now. His name is Matthew Graves. Matthew Graves, his office is the one that made the decision to drop the charges against Stephen Colbert's 9 insurrectionists. And this individual is not only applying justice in an unfair way. This individual has demonstrated that he is willing to use the power of the federal government to target his political enemies. And this actually has nothing to do, for a second, with Stephen Colbert. Yes, Stephen Colbert's staffers should be charged if January 6th defendants are going to be charged. But if we put aside the Colbert 9, the 9 insurrectionists for just a second, Matthew Graves has attempted to elevate the charges against the January 6th defendants above simply obstruction of an official proceeding. He's attempted to elevate that nonviolent crime all the way to a domestic terror charge. Stephen Colbert's 9 were let off scot-free. The charges were dropped. The January 6th defendants, for a nonviolent crime that's very similar, if not exactly the same, to what Stephen Colbert's staff did, are now facing convictions on terror charges. And I want to read you exactly what this office, the Office of Matthew Graves, writes in this sentencing document in just a second. But I want to talk too about the personal politics of Matthew Graves, because the personal politics, his family is very radical left. Who is the wife of Matthew Graves? The wife of Matthew Graves is a woman named Fatima Goss Graves, who recently testified in front of Congress in favor of abortion.
Chairman Maloney, Ranking Member Comer, and members of the committee, thank you for the invitation to testify today. My name is Fatima Goss Graves, and I'm President and CEO at the National Women's Law Center. And I'm here today because in a single day, millions lost a right, and a right they had for nearly 50 years, that had been fundamental to our health and our life and our future and to this society. The decision in Dobbs versus Jackson Women's Health Organization has already proven to be catastrophic. Within 2 weeks, 14 states were already without abortion care, now more. And people are now told they will be forced to stay pregnant, they will be forced to give birth, and they even are now being told they cannot leave their state. And we got here in a dizzying fashion.
Now, Fatima Goss Graves actually goes on and on talking about abortion, advocating for abortion on demand, unrestricted, making grotesque arguments in favor for abortion, such as, women need abortion to be financially stable. It's advantageous for your career to have an abortion. Just really grotesque arguments that if you boil it down to the heart of the matter, are advocating for women to sacrifice the soul of another person for material gain. Because that's what happens if you say, oh, well, for my career's advancement's sake, I had to abort my child. You're really sacrificing a soul for material advancement. That's what this woman is advocating for. This is the opinion of a very extreme opinion. This is an opinion that is far removed from mainstream American thought on abortion. This is the opinion of a very radical leftist, a radical leftist who has no regard for human dignity, for human life, and for human rights. And this woman is married to U.S. Attorney Matthew Graves. The background and the politics of the individuals who are supposed to be neutral arbiters of justice in our nation, we can't ignore that. We can't ignore the fact that that this is a radical leftist who is letting people who share his own political views, like Stephen Colbert's 9 insurrectionists, go scot-free because he shares their political agenda. And he's targeting January 6th defendants with elevated charges that are outrageous, that have never been a charge like this. We have never seen a charge like this levied against anyone of any political persuasion based on an obstruction charge. There's never been a prosecutor in the entire United States who has tried to charge an individual who was peacefully protesting and broke a law by obstructing an official proceeding, but doing it in a nonviolent way with domestic terrorism. We have never, ever seen this before. But it's not a coincidence that a man that would do that would wield the power of the federal government to target people who are counter to his political opinions, would be married to a woman who has no regard for human life, for human dignity, and for human rights.